How many of you have seen Black Panther? Last night I watched the movie again, and it reminded me of how much I wish I could visit Wakanda. On the phone with a good friend, I was going on and on about how great Wakanda is. And then my friend interrupted me and said, "Why? What's so great about Wakanda?" I could have zoomed in on one part of Wakanda, its technology perhaps, and taught all about that part in depth. But Wakanda is complicated. Just focusing on one aspect of it wouldn't allow me to fully communicate what's important about Wakanda. Instead, I had to look at Wakanda in a bunch of different ways, not just one. I had to explain how Wakanda has incredible wealth, about their 1,000-year plus history, about their lush landscapes and huge waterfalls, about the differences between their government and our government. It got me thinking that the lenses that help me teach my friend more about Wakanda will also pay off in your literary nonfiction books. Today, I want to teach you that since many literary nonfiction books teach about the past or important places, it pays off to study key scenes as social scientists, reading and rereading them with different lenses. Bringing different lenses to bear on the text helps you more fully understand the ideas and issues at play. To really understand Wakanda or to fully grasp the key parts in your books, it helps to study them like social scientists do, seeing more in them than you realized was possible. There are four big ways that social scientists study the world that I think also apply to this clip about Wakanda. Here they are. Some social scientists are historians. They study the past. They're especially interested in where our historical knowledge comes from and whose perspective is missing from history. Others are geographers. They study the physical world. They're especially interested in where things happened and in how the physical location impacts where people live and how they interact with their environment. Still, more are economists. Economists study how resources are produced and how goods, services, and money are distributed between people. And some social scientists study civics. They study governments and how people participate in governments. They're especially interested in which groups benefit from government and which don't benefit. Let's give this a try with a section from Hidden Figures, where we met Christine Mann, the senior in college. This part talks about the headlines she saw in the paper. Let's reread this part thinking about civics. Look at the chart and familiarize yourself with some of the questions that students of civics often ask. Since the beginning of the school year, newspapers around the country had discussed the racial crisis in Little Rock, Arkansas. 9 Black teenagers trying to integrate the all-white Central High School had turned that state's capital city into a military battleground. The Arkansas National Guard had been called out to prevent the Black students from entering the school. In response, the federal government sent U.S. Army troops to escort the 9 students into the school. The crisis unfolded over days, and each morning Christine followed the news of the brave children who were close to her in age. Readers, you can see more in this part by seeing it through the lens of civics. The government seemed to be fighting against its own citizens, and the government seems to be serving the interest of white high school students in disregarding the interest of the Black students. Readers, you're probably already noticing more in this section of text than you were before. So let's try this again. This time, choose another lens that you want to think about as you reread: history, economics, or geography. Then reread with that lens in mind, seeing more than you did before. Reread and see if that lens could fit in any way. Try asking yourselves those key questions. Where did this happen? What impact did the location have? How do people interact with this place? Readers, do you see how rereading key passages as social scientists, thinking about history, geography, economics, and civics, can help you to more fully understand the ideas and issues at play? The issues in your books are so complicated that only studying the historical aspects or the economic aspects won't be enough to fully understand them. You need a more multifaceted approach. Before you go off and read today, make sure you add this new strategy to your reading notebook: to reread key sections like a social scientist, paying attention to history, geography, economics, and civics. History. What happened? Where did this knowledge come from, and whose perspective is missing? Geography. Where did this happen? What impact did the location have on what happened? And how do people interact with this place? Economics. How do people choose to use resources? How are goods, services, and money distributed among people and groups? And civics. What is a government like? How do people participate in the government? And who benefits from government? As you read today, will you flag at least one section you think might merit this kind of close reading? I usually look for sections where the information feels important or complex, and then take time to study this passage, reading and rereading it with different lenses. Okay, readers, off you go.